Welcome to a broadcast of the recent Lorain County Commissioners' General Meeting. Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Wednesday morning at the Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings and you are invited to attend. Agendas are posted prior to the meeting at www.loraincounty.us. Click on Departments to see the Commissioners page, then click on View Agenda.
Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Sloane, you've been invited to give the first prayer for Lorain County Commissioners meeting. Introduce yourself, please.
Yes, my name is Jim Sloane, and I live here in Elyria, 1504 Park Avenue. And I would like to thank you guys for letting me be able to be the first person to lead prayer at the Commissioners meeting. I think that's an honor. So thank you so much. Let's bow our heads and our hearts if we could, please. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for this precious day that you have given us, because we know each day that we have is given from you, because no day is promised. Father, we ask that you would watch over this meeting, watch over every person that's involved. Bless everyone that's here. Bless their conversations, bless their thoughts, and bless the proceedings that go on. And may we have the best interest of all of the citizens of Lorain County in our minds and in our hearts and in our prayers. We ask all this in the precious name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. The dog this morning? Is it your dog, Commissioner Kokoski?
No, I think it's
Oh.
Tom's.
Oh, they told me it was yours, so I'm sorry.
That's okay. I don't think so. I could be wrong. Been wrong once before.
Well, now we got a cute little boy right here, 6 months old, and he's a Rottweiler. And if you just come here, sit. Okay, I know you want to play, but look at him. Just take a look at that face there. This is going to be a great pet for somebody. A lot of energy. And he already sees somebody he wants to go home with, but you know what? Right here is the reason that we have the kennel, and we have a lot of animals, or a lot of dogs. How many? 26 dogs. But this is a cute little guy here. I hope you come out and take him home and make him part of your family. So, yeah. All right. Thank you.
Oh, cutie.
Oh, Jim gave the first prayer. That's what he gets for giving a prayer. We'll give a dog
Yeah,
away to the person
whoever
who gives the prayer.
Whoever gives the prayer gets a dog. Oh, yeah. You saw those paws, right?
Madam Clerk?
Under Resolutions, number 1, investments.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kalo?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Appropriations?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kalo?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Transfers?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah, did you guys notice the one from Domestic Relations about a $5,000 wall unit?
Yeah, I wasn't sure what that was, but I was thinking it was
That's
like,
with our capital account.
maybe a storage unit or something.
Yeah, I was, Jim, do you know what that's,
Which sheet was it on?
it was in the transfers for.
They were moving money, buying a piece of furniture. A wall unit they called, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, well, I just assumed it was, some steel case furniture for the offices up there. And once again, it was in their
Budget.
budgetary items, so I didn't question it.
Well, I know in the previous, they were looking at putting up like temporary walls for their magistrates. I didn't know if that was part of it.
Don't know, Commissioner, sorry.
Okay, but I apologize. Yesterday, as many people in the county, I was cleaning up, so I didn't get a chance to put the call in. But
If you want to hold it, I can find out what it is.
I would like to know, yeah, what it is.
I'm sure it's not something that's, fireman type issue. We could probably wait a week and we'll just ask them. But again, it's in their accounts and how they move money around, we've usually have not had jurisdiction.
I don't have a
over.
problem with it. DR court does a nice job. I mean, if it's a piece of furnishing, they need are steel case walls.
For me, the amount of money that was being spent, just $5,000, that seemed like a lot for a wall unit, and that was the only generic description we had. I don't
It
think
could
we
be
have
a
any.
air conditioner unit, you never know. So, yeah, we could ask, and maybe we could even find out by the end of the meeting. If somebody can make a
Anybody
phone
here from
call.
DR?
I don't see anybody.
No.
Nobody's here from DR today. Okay, then hold it.
All right.
Can we make a phone call while we're in exec?
All right.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
No advances, no repayments, requisitions?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Travel?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Bills?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Under the Commissioners, authorize various personnel actions as indicated on the summary sheet for employees within jurisdiction of Lorain County Commissioners.
So moved.
Second. Oh, we're not, no, Mr. Cortez.
I'm sorry, Mr. Cordez. We were running down. I kept
Discussion.
reading.
I'm
Go
like,
ahead.
I was
Hey, if you just
what
want
did
to
I
pass
do
it, I'm
there?
fine
Let's
with
pass
that.
on
Yeah,
Jim.
we don't want any executive
Go ahead,
session
let's
I
today.
guess
pass
they
on Jim.
approved everything.
Yeah, wave number 8.
I know you've been, having a snorkel all week to get home, Commissioner, so it must be lack of oxygen or something.
Been a rough couple
Yeah.
of days there.
I will need a brief executive session. I have a few personnel actions at Golden Acres Workforce Development. Also, we're in some negotiations that I want to talk about. And I have, I probably need about 15 minutes in that. It's going to be negotiations for a TIF. So can't play a hand on that because we'll be having those discussions. So I need to get you updated on where we're at with that. I hope that only takes a few minutes. I know a couple of you guys are still cleaning up after the rain and want to get out of here. In fact, all 3 have received some damage. So at the conclusion of our regular board meetings, I would request that we go into executive session and we talk about those 2 items that
I
I've
have to treat
explained.
my indoor swimming pool.
Indoor and ground.
Yeah, indoor and ground.
Would you both like to withdraw?
Yeah, we'll withdraw
Yeah.
our first and our
Withdraw the
second.
first and
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Approve and waive the reading in the minutes of May 17th.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Authorize payment in the amount of $1,000 to Boyer and Kuhl Home for Funerals, Lorain, for indigent veteran John Wesley Lalo Jr., Elyria, in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code 5901.25.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Support the amendment of the Ohio Revised Code 1901.08 to designate the Avon Lake Municipal Court judge as full-time judge as of the effective date of legislative amendment.
I'll move.
Second.
Discussion.
Mr. Cordez, I know we discussed the different amounts that we're looking at. Again, I didn't get a chance to look at Avon Lake's final legislation. They did send us an approval.
You know what, Commissioner, obviously the numbers are there to justify
Right.
the need for this court. If you compare the statistics with Oberlin, which is a single judge court, and then you look at all the work going on and where we have the 2 municipal judges in Elyria and Lorain, I think that they've made a case. Obviously, the problem is funding, as it usually is. Judge Bassini is down in Columbus today working on the legislation that would be necessary to complete the final leg of this, should you pass your resolution along with Avon. But I do stand by my due diligence on the cost. I believe in a mature environment that our costs are going to go up mid to upper 30s on this when all said and done.
Well, I think he's made a good argument in regards to why there needs to be full-time. There are, only 8 in the state of Ohio left as part-time judges.
Well, again, I'm not,
Much as they've grown.
Right.
I wasn't questioning the justification, I was questioning the cost analysis. The judge did come back still, he raised his a bit, but it's only about 12,000. I find it hard to believe that once the court is up and running, that they're not gonna be very similar to Oberlin and the cost we have in Oberlin. I think that the cost data I gave you is probably a fuller look forward than the one they're looking at stationary today.
And can we make that on number 11 as full-time judge, because it just says as full judge?
Yeah.
Oh, you
I
got
wrote
the
it,
change, you
yeah.
made the change, okay. And Madam Clerk?
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
That's the question for,
Mobile shelving units to store child support active cases contract with Patterson Pope already in existence. Mr. Williams, for the wall unit?
I'm sorry.
Mobile shelving units to store child support active cases contract with Patterson Pope already in existence. So-
Okay.
Okay?
Can we
So-
go back to that then?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and,
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
any further discussion? Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Thank you, Lisa, for checking into that for us.
Under Community Development, amend Resolution 1482 adopted February 2nd, 2014, awarding agreement with CT Consultants in the amount of $5,500 for professional services for pre-application work and preparation of 2014 CHIP grant application. Said amendment is to reflect the correct account, should be contract services, professional services.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Under Job and Family, amend Resolution 1441 adopted January 22nd to Maximus Columbus for software maintenance agreement for the Windows version of the program expenditure tracking system. Amendment is to reflect the term to extend to December 31st and increase of $1,075 for a total contract of $4,300.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Authorized purchase service agreement with Murray Ridge Production Center, Elyria for cleaning services for state fiscal year 15, and the total amount not to exceed $4,500, effective July 1st, 2014 through June 30th, 2015. Authorized director to amend for changes in programming content and increased value, and execute on behalf of the board with the prosecutor's approval as to form.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Before we go
Oh,
on,
I'm
Mr. Cordez, have you had any discussions with Murray Ridge about the dog kennel to date?
Yeah, I communicated with Amber Fisher. We exchanged some emails, but I believe there was a, some kind of breakdown in what I was asking for, what she was responding. I think she thought that I was asking about how vendors bid work over there, and so I have not re-engaged with her. But I kept asking her about how we get jobs for folks, for them to come over. So I didn't do a good job on that. I plan on having her called today. She's on my agenda list of phone calls today. I just need to know who her person that handles that out there
Job
is, so I can
assignments and
bring them out.
coaches.
Because they'll analyze the job, they'll come up with a worksheet, job coach. It's really not just as easy as putting people there.
Right.
Well, this is to actually use the individuals from Murray Ridge to actually do
Absolutely,
work
I-
out at the kennel.
My only concern is they may feel there's a safety hazard
Right.
with regard to risk management, and that's why they'll have to come out and do a job assessment. There's been a lot of other priorities that have
I
backed
know.
this up, so I'll try to conclude that this week so we can talk about it
Because I
next
think
week.
we're a couple people short there, so we need to do
We-
something.
We are short. We are short the two kennel keepers. But as slow as we've moved on this because of other priorities, I still believe this is a great potential for a partnership.
Yeah, I do
and we
too.
should explore it further.
Right, okay, thank you.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Number 15 is a duplicate, so we'll go to solid waste.
Hmm.
Approve request for Connect Lorain County for 100 refurbished computers. This will be distributed to qualifying residents of the county who complete a specified computer training course at Lorain County Community College.
Good morning, Mr. Bailey.
Good morning, Commissioners. We all remember the successful program that Lorain Community College had with Connect Your Community. And we've continued that with Connect Your Lorain County through Lorain Community College. College is again asking for 100 PCs to give those people graduating from those courses. All right, that's where the refurbished computers will go.
Well, thank you. Well, we
It's a
got
great
Jeff.
program.
The dumpsters we discussed.
Yeah, I was going to bring it up under
Oh,
my
you're on
business,
your
but you
business,
know what,
okay.
he's up here now, so
Okay.
if the board has a tolerance for it, you got the cost
Well,
data.
let's make the motion here on this one. I'll make the
Okay.
motion to approve.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Now we'll talk about, there was a discussion held the other day in regards to all the flooding and loss of property, to putting dumpsters in the communities. Mr. Cordez is working on it along with Mr. Bailey. I got the final numbers, but I didn't get a
Well, you know,
explanation as of this morning what we're exactly doing, so.
we actually didn't put a complete plan together because we need the
Okay.
board's authority to go out and do that. But you have the cost for the dumpsters. Last time we did this, we had about $25,000 that we allocated towards the dumpsters because of the amount of furniture and large items that may have to be removed from homes, especially the communities that have court service. They usually only have bulk pickup once a month. And I know that you were talking about Republic maybe doing more bulk pickup. I think, I'm not sure how that went. But we did do the dumpsters last time at the very least. And Commissioner Williams wanted to try to explore whether they would do more bulk pickup. But my general understanding was that that's a local jurisdiction issue with regards to their contract. But we did do the dumpsters last time, so Keith did get the cost data on that.
Well, I spoke with David from Republic yesterday, and they were having meetings because they knew there was going to be a major issue with pickup. And then he was supposed to contact you and have dialogue.
Yeah.
Did he do that so?
And we did a complete survey of all the waste haulers in the county, got pricing, and presented that pricing to Mr. Cordes with my recommendation.
Okay,
Right.
so he didn't actually give you an update on what Republic was going to do?
No,
from
but
standard?
Republic does not have all the municipal contracts in our county. Rumpke
understand
has
that,
10
but-
of them.
Right.
And each community is individual in that matter, and it has to do with their personal contract between them and their operator, and what they're doing for an individual city or municipality or township is strictly between the contractor and the company. All right? They do have large pickup. I don't know of a community that doesn't have a large pickup day now. So it varies from community to community when that is.
Yeah, they usually have at least one a month.
Yeah.
So, we, unfortunately, not having a global contract with them doesn't leave us with any ability to decide what each community gets. I think we need to encourage the political subsets of Lorain County to, contact their waste hauler and have that conversation with them. I'm sure they're already having it. They seem to be on top of it in the cities right now.
Before I came into the meeting today, I actually called emergency management and talked to Alice. They want people that had flooding or damage to contact them at 329-5117 to let them know what kind of damage is out there in Lorain County, because they are going after another assessment. She's actually going to call you. She was getting ready to. And to do emergency declaration.
We've been trying since this occurred to get enough. It's going to sound strange. Enough damage assessment, enough damage to qualify. Presently, the state EMA that was up here does not believe that we qualify for a declaration yet. So we need people to continue to phone in. The more they pile on, the better our chances for getting a declaration are. I gotta give a good shout out to our people at EMA. They worked right through the night. There was some evacuation, some shelters open. We opened up the emergency management center. I was going to talk about that in my business,
Okay.
but they do need to call in. We do need more damage reported. Remember, when people have insurance, and then some of the questions that are asked, do you have insurance? Is it covered by insurance? That takes it off the list because it's not a local burden. And so even though you may see a lot of flooding in a lot of areas, problems, a lot of that's going to be covered in some areas by insurance. And that decreases our ability to qualify for assistance outside of Lorain County. But some people don't. They just kind of suck it up and do it themselves, and they don't complain much. And we need them to complain a little bit,
Right.
So that we can help everybody.
Since the state looked at this, they found 43 basement apartment units in Sheffield Township that are Section 8, which is low income. More than likely, they don't have renter's insurance. Then there was another 16 units on Pearl Avenue, same situation, and some on Tower. So a lot of these people are in basement apartments. They are on Section 8, don't have renter's insurance. So we may have a better opportunity with that and people calling in and letting them know that there's that damage out there.
I'm sure the owners of the buildings are aware of the damage to their buildings and are notifying us so that they may qualify for assistance. You're right, sometimes you don't hear from folks that are renters because they don't have renter's insurance, but the owners of the building are the ones that are going to have to make the repairs to the building.
Yeah, but the loss of contents for the people who are
Correct.
living
Right.
there.
Correct.
So,
So, if we can get, in fact, I know that they're working through the communities very, very much so. And the city of Lorain was petitioning the state individually to try to have their area designated, but, the state still was a bit resistant to that. But we're working towards that. Hopefully, if we get enough data, we'll be able to do something into next week.
And it's an ongoing joke that every time there's a emergency, Tom Kelly is out of town, and I heard he was out of town again for
Well,
the.
let me say this. I was in contact with Tom Kelly, as well as Alice at EMA through the night into the wee hours of the morning.
But he was
So
out of town, right?
He was out of town, but Tom was engaged.
He's not allowed to go out of town anymore.
The world is flat. You're never far
I
away
know,
anymore.
I know. Just teasing.
But there was a good job. There was some areas that were very hard hit, and we're doing everything we can to assist those communities.
Right.
But people do need to call in.
Yes.
We really do need the data, and I know how hard it is sometimes to get over that threshold with the state, so we can do the declaration and expect then reimbursement of 75% on the other end, maybe, how that is, so.
Right.
Now,
All right.
We didn't end up needing to use them, but we did have all of our transit buses standing by to evacuate. We were able to evacuate without using them. Just want to point out that's the same transit system that people don't support was there to evacuate people from areas that they may not have been able to get out of. So.
And that number again is 329-5117, so make sure you call, even if you have homeowners insurance. Just a lot of them have separate riders for insurance and maybe a limited amount of money that you can claim on your insurance.
Well, I think a lot of it's gonna be like people like me where I don't have a finished basement, but
Just
I got
clean up.
a significant amount of water and I lost a lot of documents. But, so I'm just sucking it up and throwing it away myself.
Right.
$93 for my first dump truck to go to BFI Republic yesterday, and I got 2 more to go.
You'd think you'd learn by last time.
Nothing's going back in the basement.
I would never put
We're
anything in the
over.
basement again,
So
ever.
let me go back because we haven't really concluded this. And we may move on because we got into
Right.
tertiary issues. What are we going to do with the dumpsters?
Contact communities, get them out where they're accessible.
I would offer that the board pass a resolution authorizing the expenditures up till $25,000 to locate these dumpsters throughout the communities. And Mr. Bailey and my office will work at accomplishing that. Clearly, I'm going to be looking for places to put these dumpsters. So I'll need the jurisdictions to, at least let us know where their most impacted areas are and possibly where we can find some school parking lots, municipal parking lots, things like that to put these dumpsters out at. And the quicker that happens, the quicker we can deploy before all this stuff ends up laying on the street.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
The other thing too, we may be calling an emergency meeting if we need to declare a state of emergency in Lorain County.
Correct.
Okay, just so everybody knows.
That's what
So
we
be
did.
available.
That's what we did the last time.
Right.
And Commissioner Kalo said that even if he had a ski in this time, he was
I'd
getting
make
hit.
this
He
one
didn't-
here when I
he
was
couldn't get
underwater
through.
then.
Couldn't get through the last time.
Right.
So
Okay.
Madam Clerk?
Under the engineer, award 2-year contract to Locks Go Green Landscaping Oberlin in the amount of $8,240 for mowing of detention basins under county maintenance. 5 bids were received on April 22nd, this being the most responsive complying with specifications.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Request speed zone study of Murray Ridge Road to be forwarded to ODOT for review to establish a safe and reasonable speed limit of 45 miles per hour on Murray Ridge Road from State Route 113 to the Ohio Turnpike as requested by Larry Township.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Approve and enter an LPA agreement with ODOT to replace Burzley Road Bridge. Authorize engineer to execute all documents on behalf of the board with prosecutor's approval as to form. Project is being paid for by federal funding assistance from and was also approved by NOACA for federal funding in state fiscal year 17.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Approve and enter in contract with Mastermind Systems Delaware for speed studies and curves in the county road system in the amount of $26,945 and will be reimbursed 90% by CEAO and paid from MVGT professional services account.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Authorize engineer to execute contracting services agreement with First Energy Service Company for engineering service and construction activities to relocate a transmission pole within State Route 57, Village of Grafton widening and reconstruction project.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Cortez?
I certainly think I gave enough of a report through the meeting, so we've already discussed those issues I wanted to, so I yield to council. Thank you.
Mr. Ennis?
Commissioners, I have one brief matter of imminent litigation that I would like to speak with you. Shouldn't take more than 10 minutes.
Commissioners report.
Friday attended the update on the drug forum that Mike DeWine's office held about a month or so ago. I think you attended that meeting. He sent representatives to this meeting to hear and discuss the issues facing this and so many other communities throughout Ohio. We have a long, hard road ahead of us, and we need the state's help with funding so we can get to our youth. We need to educate them to prevent them from making that choice that's going to take their life as they know it or just take their life. We need to fund recovery, and we need those who are in recovery to let others know that recovery works and there is a life to be lived when you do recover. I want to just read something that DeWine's office sent out in the criminal justice update. It says, "We have to take a holistic approach," the Attorney General said, speaking to about 80 people attending the first meeting in Portsmouth. "We have to have law enforcement, we have to have more treatment, we have to have better education. The most important thing of all is having communities recognizing it has a problem. Evidence of opiate epidemic involving prescription pain medications, heroin, and increasingly addicts' progression from the former to the later abounds. Ohio's heroin-related deaths jumped from 317 to 717 from 2010 to 2012, and it's definitely not getting any better. They are having a rally for recovery Saturday, May 17th. Says addiction affects us all. Too many are suffering. Too many have died. It's time to fight back. Will you join us? It says, please bring a candle to light in memory of those lost to addiction. There's going to be state representatives there, DeWine's office. They're going to meet at the gazebo located in Washington Park across from the courthouse in downtown Sandusky. So the one mother that had lost her daughter was at this meeting that I attended Friday, and she's also going to be speaking at this this rally. And she lost her daughter from 18 months from the time she took her first drug. She lost her life. Beautiful girl, and it's just sad how many people are facing this problem. So if you want to go to the rally, they would appreciate our support. On Tuesday, we had our last transit meeting, just wrapping up, trying to decide what we may do in the future. And it kind of sounded like the committee was leaning towards putting this maybe on the ballot again in the next primary election, just to get more educational information out there to the public. Last night I went to a code reception in Elyria. They had Ed Fitzgerald speaking. He did a fantastic job, as he always does. And the man of the year they had was our state representative, Matt Lundy, and he wasn't able to be there. He was in Columbus, so we actually Skyped, and it was really fun, and he was very surprised. He had not known that he was going to be receiving that award. And then with all the flooding, I had like 4 or 5 inches in my basement, and I had thought about Twin Lakes and thinking, oh my gosh, those poor people over there, it's got to be terrible. So I did check with Bill Holtzman from the engineer's office, and he did check with the owners, and they did have some flooding, not as bad as they've had previously, and but still flooding. So I was, and I also wanted to confirm that there had been a chronic issue out there and not just a one-time problem, and it is a chronic issue. So hopefully this will get on the agenda and start making those ditches cleaned out so we don't have flooding problems out in that area. And I think that is the end of my report. I got to go home and clean my basement.
Got to finish cleaning my yard now, but I got the basement finished, so.
What a mess, huh?
4 foot of water. The worst part was walking across my street in a 4 foot of water to get to my house. So anybody tries to call me, I have no phone currently. Friday, NOACA, monthly meeting, policy and planning, discussion about ongoing projects and moving them up on our tip. A long discussion. There's been some changes in some political subdivisions with members, so there was a lot of new people there, and just going over the process we've been going on forever, so it kind of took up a lot of our time. Also, happy Mother's Day to all ladies out there. I hope they had a very nice day. Again, thank you to our EMA. I was on the phone with Alice Weber, who's in charge right now while Tom's on vacation. She was right on top of it. We spoke right late into the night on Monday. Again, I got to thank all the safety forces. I couldn't tell you how many people I spoke to who were just thrilled the way the sheriff's department and the city's police departments came out blocking off roads, making sure people were safe and getting people out when they were trapped in their cars. It was just really bad weather. That's about it. I wanted on our communications, if you want to see on number 6 on the board agenda, Sheriff's Committee has initiated a Veterans Outreach Program for county jail inmates. If an inmate qualifies for the program, a specialist will come on station to interview and assist incarcerated veterans, and assistance includes help with reentering into society, mental health assistance, medical care, housing, and employment. So I'd like to thank the sheriff for really stepping up there. I know we work under the gold issue when it comes to doing hirings and stuff at the county, a preference for veterans. So I'd like to thank the sheriff for doing this.
It's great.
That's the end of my report.
Oh, yeah, big mess at my house. Water in the basement, but more water in my garage. I left to go check on my mom, who lives in the city of Lorain on 38th Street, and they had water up to 4 feet was going into the middle of her yard. And unfortunately, I had a brain fart and hit the remote twice on my garage, and all the water came in. So I spent 12 hours cleaning out a garage and trying to fix the drywall. So yesterday was definitely a nightmare, and I forgot about a group that wanted to come in, and I was supposed to send you a copy. I went and I printed this out. What they're looking for, and I've been approached by individuals. There's a company in Lorain, I won't mention the name right now, but they're looking at going through and unionizing, and they're asking for local officials to go through and either give a resolution or a letter of support. And since they brought this to me, I wanted to make sure that you had it, that you could read it, and then we can have dialogue if this is something we would like to do.
You're going to do a symbolic resolution?
This is, well, symbolic resolution that helps individuals. I don't believe in sending resolutions to tell other elected officials how to vote. I mean, that's been a consistent thing in my 3 years here. We did the resolution that went to the city of Lorain when residents were asking for help with their sewer rates, but telling individuals how to vote is something totally different. Teresa, I'll pass this down so you get a copy of it.
I don't have a problem with the resolution necessarily, Tom. I just don't think we need the company name, and I think it covers a lot of those stuff. I don't know if having the company name in the resolution is necessarily the best way of going about it. I mean,
Okay.
I agree with everything here, but I don't know if we need to name the company, but I think doing it as and especially the part here, I mean, where Ford Motor's moving jobs back here from Mexico, you know, that, and they still remain competitive and still providing good jobs. I don't know if we necessarily need the company name in there.
Okay, so just a resolution that would be supporting their efforts.
I mean, support all
Right.
I mean, all employees' efforts.
All right. Well, I appreciate the support on that.
Can we do this next Wednesday if that's not a problem, just so we have an official form? I mean, we just have it on a piece of paper right now.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm looking at you.
I would.
I'm assuming you're part of it, but we need to have
Did
it
you
all
wanna
rewritten
come up and
Yeah, if you want to come up and
plead your
talk
case
about
here?
it. You guys are here. Jim Sloane, who gave our prayer, is also president of UAW Cap Council, and we have Harry Williamson here, who is president of Lorain County AFL-CIO, and it's hard when you get
Yes.
these right here. You know
Well,
what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah,
Get all the language, Jim.
It is, yeah, it is. We do have copies of that. But yeah, it's one of those things where we are struggling, and we're just asking for the commissioners, as we will be asking different city councils and different city officials, different county officials, to give these folks, if they so choose, the right to organize a union.
These folks and/or any other
Any,
employees of any other
any
company,
place.
right?
Yeah,
That's why I
any,
think I'd be more
any
comfortable.
company. We would, if you could, and, you know, I don't know all the procedures of county government and what you can legally and legally can't do, but we would deeply appreciate it if we could get something today.
Well, maybe we can have this redone when we're in exec and then
Okay.
bring it out all rewritten and everything.
Okay,
I
that
wouldn't
that
have
would
a
be
problem with
fine.
that,
If you
but-
don't have any problem with that, we would love
I
to
don't
hear.
want to pick on just one, because I'm sure there's many other
There-
companies within the county that this
I'm
would
sure,
affect
I'm sure there
also.
probably are. This one, we're very heavily involved
working on
with.
now?
And we're moving forward on this, and we would really need your help on this, and we would deeply appreciate
Well, we
it
can
if
get
you
this
would do.
rewritten afterwards while
Okay.
we're in executive and then
Okay.
come out and do something like that, I think would be
Yeah.
All right.
fair.
Yeah, and
From
the
a
That
perspective, it would be.
that would work for us.
Okay.
That would
Yeah.
work for us, as long as we can we can get something to move along on this, because I think that once that we get the support of people in Lorain County, just saying, hey, give people the right to organize if they want to. Yeah, I mean, we represent all working people. I mean, our goal is to put everybody back to work and get everybody good paying jobs, and this is one of those things that I mean, I know some of the people, and so do you, that work at that particular company, and they're not treated very well. And they did approach us, not me personally, but the UAW, and said, hey, we need some help with this.
And they do have the right to do that.
And they do have the
That's
right,
what we
they do
stand
have the right
for,
to do
so.
that. And I didn't think you guys would have any problems with that. While I'm standing here, if I could, I was talking to Brother Harry Williamson from the president of the AFL-CIO. If you guys want to, I think transit's very important for our county. If our county's going to grow, we're going to move people around. Transit, I think, is a very important thing. If you, as a Board of Commissioners, would like to get with us before you decide to do the next, whether it's a levy or whatever, we have some suggestions on what kind of levies and stuff that we think would be acceptable in the community, because we represent a lot of folks in the community.
Mm-hmm.
We would like to sit down with the three of you, and we'd like to give you some ideas on what we think would work, and even work with you on getting that next levy passed.
Good. We need all the
Okay.
help we can get.
All right.
Well, that's actually, I'm going to go into that a little bit later, too.
Those are unionized jobs over there, transit too.
Yeah.
Just for the-
Did you hear that?
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so great, we'll go ahead, we'll have that edited, and we'll get that
As
to,
we speak, after you still had more of your report.
I'm sorry?
After you had more of your report.
I do.
I'm working on.
Okay, great.
stuff.
And speaking of transit, Lori, since you were talking about bringing it up, my concern is with the primary, it may not be the best time to put it on. I would hope that we could do it maybe in the general election. The reason for it is you're going to have mayor races next year, and I think that's going to draw more people out for those, for the election, and it gives you a little bit more time. The second thing I would consider doing is, instead of going with a property tax, taking a look at maybe consolidating or putting into a sales tax with a reduction of some of the property levies. Something similar to what we did with the inside millage. I think if we put that together and we package it, where we're taking we're relieving some of the financial restraints or financial off the property owners and putting it on a sales tax, which is a fairer tax, I think that may help individuals see the positive in this and also support the levy. So I don't know if you could bring it up to the board, possibly put it back to the general election, and then take a look at doing a sales tax. But or if let me know when the next meeting is, and I'll come out to that.
I had a quite an extensive, well, I would call it an active dialogue with a few of the people there with regard to a couple of the things they thought we needed to do. So I think a lot's going to come through that group trying to help us. I'll make sure that you gentlemen are on the list for when the next meeting is. But there's a lot of conflicting views, and so we have to wade through a lot of that to get there. Though, the one thing about trying to lower the property tax and raise the sales tax is that it gets very complicated.
It does get complicated, but doing the same thing over and over with the property tax, I think we're going to be battling all the other areas that don't utilize transit and having them see that it does benefit the community. But when you have townships that have not enough deputies and other areas that are paying for their schools, it just becomes a burden that is on the property owners. We had this dialogue last week, and I know we disagree somewhat on it, but at least with the sales tax, the property owners don't feel that they're the one footing the bill for everything.
Oh, I'm not necessarily in disagreement with you. But you know, each community, we need to get the support of each community. I'll give you the information. We went through, we dissected each precinct vote, what the vote numbers were. Some interesting reading. We won in Lorain. We won in Elyria. We won in Oberlin. But we didn't win. There was not enough voter turnout to turn the tide from the areas that we lost in. And so I think that if you get to a much bigger audience, remember only 14.6% of the voters turned out during the primary. If you had much greater voter turnout, I think that the percentage that they won by in Lorain and Elyria may have carried transit. So I'll give you those numbers, and you can take a look at them.
I've been going through and analyzing them. Again, my concern is the higher the voter turnout is, if you get more turnout in the townships and the other areas that don't utilize it, you could still see it fail. So, I mean, it's only a 12.5 or under 15% turnout for the entire county.
That's pretty dismal.
Yeah.
I'm surprised at how few people turned out to do the one thing that the very basic element of freedom that we have is based upon. That's vote. It's that in itself is an amazing number for me sometimes.
Well, the issue though in these off-year primary elections, if there aren't contested races, because normally candidates bring people out to vote for their candidate because of the amount of money that's expended on those campaigns and contested races. Whereas issues don't have as many dollars necessarily to spend, and there's not for and against necessarily, so whenever there's contested races, you know,
Well,
we see a
Commissioner,
higher turnout.
I understand why they don't. I just know lots of people have died so that people can vote in this country. So I think they need to, you know, regardless of what's their turnout and vote.
I agree.
But based on your numbers and your analysts doing it during when Elyria and Lorain are going to have mayoral races, it should increase the turnout there.
It should.
Which
I think the statewide race this year would do that also.
Yep.
Well, it's a governor's year. That's
Right.
why commissioners are required by statute to run in a presidential or governor year so that they have large voter turnout. That's why you don't run in the off years.
But I think there's a lot of more dialogue that needs to be done.
Well, you were bringing up the
Communication.
sales tax last week. I thought we were talking about putting the sales tax on
We
the
were
ballot.
just talking about the sales tax, but I think it needs to be done at a point where we can actually get a effective campaign. The problem that we have with the levies or sales tax, any of the ballot issues, we pass them and then we're trying to get them go out and communicate all the needs within 2 to 3 months. And they hit the entire county to do it. I like the approach of going through and having a year long. I mean, for our re-elections as elected officials, we'll spend a year on that. But for a county ballot, we spend 2 months. Doesn't make sense.
Well, the issue being when you pass these things, they normally have to go into the next election. You pass them based on rules, and
Well, if
normally
you
don't get a year and a half to set back unless we're doing it as a special.
You know, there's statistical data that demonstrates that for most taxpayers, they vote for what they understand about a month or two
Right.
before the ballot. That's about the span of where they look to support things. They're either long-term supporters, long-term detractors, or they can be swayed.
Right.
And it's the sway vote, and that's within 60 days of an election. You people as politicians
We do
know
that.
that because that's
Right.
when you really get on your bike and pedal in those last 2 or 3 months. Jim, you were in that race. It's about 2 or 3 months before the election. You get out there, and that's when the big push comes. And that's the same thing for for levies. A lot of people make up their mind in that last 2 or 3 months about the worthiness of an issue. They can't remember what we told them a year ago. They're too busy trying to live in this complicated life we have these days, and with all the things that go on. So and then trying to keep a group together for a year or a year and a half, and that was a conversation we had yesterday, because they would talk about putting it on the general next year. And I point out, that's 18 months. Trying to keep volunteers going for 18 months is a long period of time to keep them engaged and moving forward.
Yeah, but if you can't even get your volunteers to stay committed for 18 months, you're more than likely not going to get the county residents to support something that they're not going to use.
Well, I realize that, and we have to, again, I don't use children's services, I don't use DD, I don't use mental health, I don't use the library. I definitely don't need to go back to school, although some people may disagree with that. And I certainly support those things in my community, because my community needs to be strong and dynamic in a place where we want to live and grow and provide jobs to our families coming along. And that's why I support those things, not because I'm getting something, because I want to give something.
Yeah, but the people also know what they're getting from that. They have a good understanding of those programs. With transit, they truly don't have a understanding. They look at it as it's just a bus service to get people, to the mall or around. They don't
Well, it's to
understand.
get them the job, to their medical appointments, to the senior center. The resolution we're going to pass today, those folks, if you look at the wages some of those folks are making, and by the way, not just for passing it for unionism, but a living wage is something that we need to engage in this community conversation on that. But those people probably can't afford a car and insurance and rent and everything else on the wages that are being paid these days.
But when we look at the transit system, you say that it's to get people to work. But when does the transit actually get used? It gets used during the day, so it would be considered mostly first shift. We don't have transit that's going out.
We
help
used to.
people for third shift. But I'm just saying, right now, to say that it's going to be used to help people get the jobs, the people who are working normally first shift are probably making enough to have the jobs. It's the individuals who are working the weekends that aren't able to.
You mean the second shift?
Second shift or weekends.
Yeah, because the first,
and
I
things of that
think the
sort.
first turn starts at like around midnight, so we're talking about a second turn, the daytime shift.
Right. But
Okay.
we don't have enough routes even in general, and then they take off holidays, correct?
Well, Commissioner, you're talking about now. I'm talking
Right.
about putting the service back the way it used to be
Right,
somewhat.
but even the 450, or the last levy would not have brought the
No.
services back.
But it could have brought some of it back, and I
Right.
think that, along the way when we talked about this, we talked about it as an initial building block of where we need to go. I think we explained in the first time we went to the ballot that this is not going to cure all the problems, but we need to demonstrate to the public, if they support us, that we will do a good job with this money, and that it's going to be a long process, several years process.
Incrementally, as we build it up and show the service it can provide, and the residents that it's doing its best for, and then go on to help build on the other levy. But
Well,
at this point.
we
it
could have
be moved.
a lengthy discussion.
Oh, no, it's a good
on it.
discussion. It's a very good
And that, but, how I would like to go through and look at the districts, because Lorain, Leary, and Oberlin that continue to support it, I think would be another good building block on that.
Great.
But other than my brain fried from cleaning up, so, and my report.
I did put that dumpster in your yard you were looking for.
Oh,
Two
it's-
commissioners.
Yeah, thanks.
Lori only asked me to
Did you
come
get
and
that
help her with my
address
truck.
right, Keith?
So, no, I went to check my mom's, and I went down 38th
get
Street.
there, right?
Couldn't get there, so I went down Skyline, and the water was coming down from 38th Street, and it looked like it was a rapid. I mean, it just had water coming. Luckily, I was in an SUV, so I was able to turn around quickly, but,
Well, you called because you couldn't get there. Ted called because he was chest high wading through it and couldn't find where to walk. Right? And so you guys need to move down to North Ridgeville. I stayed nice and dry down there, so.
You're probably the only part of Ridgeville. They got hit pretty hard.
They
you know?
did, I'm just teasing. All the communities got hit
Yeah,
pretty
it
hard.
was pretty ugly out there. But again, thank you to everybody who did their public service jobs and all the volunteers that came out.
do you have it modified on that?
I haven't got it done yet. I can give it to the
Okay.
clerk yet and
All right.
everything to write it all up. I'm not really good at typing, so. Madam Clerk?
Board correspondence?
Move the reading be waived.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Public comment?
Anyone wishing to address the board this morning? Yeah, coming up, Harry. Sorry, Keith, you already had your couple minutes of fame. We'll let Mr. Williamson speak.
Keith back again?
Yeah.
Good morning, Commissioners. Harry Williamson, President, Lorain County AFL-CIO. I'd like to take an opportunity to thank Commissioner Williams and the Commissioners for the recent proclamation that was given on the Workers' Memorial Day ceremony. It was greatly appreciated. Also, special thanks to Lorain County Engineer Ken Carty's office and Neil. I see Neil's here. Did an outstanding job, brought out the sound system, tents, and actually even brought umbrellas because the weather was not cooperating with us. So again, I wanted to take a minute to thank each and every one that was involved in that, not only in the city of Elyria, but the city of Lorain as well. So thank you on behalf of labor. Thank you.
Keith?
I miss John Hatcher. He always said, you owe them your sweat and tears, but you don't owe them an ounce of blood. And hopefully you can keep saying that. So that was great.
I got released this morning to tell you what happened with the Ohio EPA grants. Of course, I was up here last week talking about Oberlin and hybrid trucks, and the reason they acted on that so quickly was so Oberlin could move ahead and order the trucks. And I appreciate the EPA doing that. But the EPA is announcing today the rest of the grants, which will be coming available July 1st, and we were victorious in quite a few areas the commissioners need to know about. We obtained the grant for market development grant for quality blow mold for $154,500, which means 14 more jobs. And I will get Ron Matcham here at the podium before it's over with when the check comes, all right? Wonderful. So you'll have Ron here to speak to you about the work he's done with us. And of course, that's for new equipment and new machinery at Quality Blow Mold, who uses recycled product and reground product in their products that they manufacture. We were able successfully to get $28 for a tire changer. You may wonder what Keith is doing with tire changers now. We're actually going to start breaking tires off rims at the center and selling the rims for scrap. So that's one of the things we're headed that direction to do now, and we'll be getting that money in July. The last grant is one Tom always loves. We got $12,000 for the continued amnesty project for tires at the center and our other two locations, and for ag tire collection. So we'll be working very hard to move the ag tire collection again ahead for this year. So you got $369,000 in all. That's a substantial amount of money, and we were very good at what we got this year. Thanks, Commissioner.
Thanks, Keith. Nice job, you and the team upstairs.
Well, I can't sell these grants. You need to understand this. People like Quality Blow Mold, I don't know them. I'm an import for this community. I mean, Mike Challenger, Don Romancak, Team Lorain County, they're the ones who bring these companies to me. And without their support, without their working on these grants with me, I would not get these grants. It's been very successful because of work on the 5th floor.
It's called the Lorain County Growth Partnership. As
Yes, sir.
Keith is a valued member, and that's why we put solid waste on the 5th floor. Some people wondered why we had those things, that organization located with those entities up there. It's because when we know we got full integration, we would be able to get better resources out into the community. You know, we have a long relationship with Well Molding, and we also let's take a cheap plug. We have the recycled solid waste revolving loan fund. We have a few $100,000, more than a few $100,000 there. Keith was complaining today. How much is in there, Keith?
$628,000, sir.
That we have available for revolving loans for projects that involve a certain level of recycled content. These are usually low-interest loans. They have a small job creation element to them, but if companies are expanding, or if they're renovating, or they're adding even possibly equipment, whatever they want to look at, if they will consider using recycled materials in that process, they'll be eligible for some loan assistance at very attractive rates. And that was a first of a kind, I think it's still an only of a kind program in the state of Ohio that we put in some years ago. And we have used that for several loans. So we try to get a plug here and there when we can on that, but that's all part of the mosaic of how we make up the Lorain County Growth Partnership. And they've done a great job. Remember, it's getting money coming in here and keeping it here that will stimulate economic growth.
Return of our tax dollars.
There
Well,
we
if we
go.
don't get them to return somehow, they're gonna stay in Washington and go someplace else.
Thank you, Keith. Anyone else wishing to address the board this morning? Want to come back up, Jim?
I'm sorry, because
Forgetful?
No, I'm not forgetful. I am. I got a bad back, and that's just not a good thing. But a couple things. Commissioner Kokoski, you had mentioned, and I'm sorry I missed that because I did want to go to the drug seminar or whatever they called it with Mike DeWine. At one time, a couple years ago, when I was running, Scioto County down by Ohio River had the largest rate of cocaine users, and I think at that time it was around like 51% of the county was using, and so it was really bad. That's something I know that's moved into every other county since then, and every sheriff that I talked to in every county of that crazy 4th congressional district, that was one of their big concerns. And now it's, we're starting to hear more and more of it here, and I
Excuse me,
think
Jim, I think you mean the heroin issue, not cocaine, the heroin.
heroin. I'm sorry, it is heroin.
Correct.
Yeah, it is heroin. Yeah, there's so many drugs out there anymore that but there's the one of choice, and it seems to change. But it's something that those commissions that we can get together, I think, means so much that we can help families and how we can help better our counties and how we can help our sheriff's departments and whatever through different studies and different people working on this. But one of the other things, and I wanted to mention that because thank you for that, because that is something that's very important. Mr. Cordez said something that I would love, because he usually runs off to meetings and whatever, and I don't get a chance to talk to him because he's a busy man. But Mr. Cordez, I would love to sit down along with Harry, Brother Harry here from the AFL-CIO, Brother Perch. We would love to sit down. You said something about living wages for Lorain County and stuff like that. I would love to work on something like that with you because that's what's holding our county back. If we put people to work with a living wage, and that people had good paying jobs, and when we go and ask people to vote for taxes and to vote for school taxes, vote for different things, we're working on some things right now that hopefully is going to help in the future. But a living wage would help us with a lot of those issues.
I don't know, like most communities have struggled with this, and there's been a lot of dialogue, and even if nothing comes out of it, an awareness comes out of that dialogue, that two working families, full-time working, and both of them making minimum wage can't
Right.
live today. Can't.
Well-
It's impossible.
Well, I'll give you a good example, and I think they have since moved. I had some friends of mine that lived on University Avenue, which is 2 streets back from where I live at the corner of Colgate and Park. Both husband and wife was working minimum wage jobs. When their sales taxes went up, they took paper routes so they could stay in their home. Well, they finally lost the battle, and they had
Property taxes, Jim?
property
I
taxes.
mean, your property taxes.
From their property taxes. When they went up that last time with the school, which was, for me, was almost a $300 hit.
We either pay them a better wage, or we give them food stamps.
Right, and I'd
So-
rather pay them, because you know what, Jim? There are some exceptions, and so don't anybody think that I'm crazy, but there are some exceptions. There's not a person out there they'd much rather you hand them a paycheck than hand them food stamps.
I think the bulk of the people getting assistance today because of the last 5 or 6 years would be more prideful to work for what they get.
Absolutely, absolutely. And maybe we can make,
Sure.
and we would love to work with you on something like, I think there's a lot of areas where people think that like Brother Harry, myself, some of the other gentlemen in the room, there's a lot of areas we can work on to better Lorain County. And I've almost grown up in Lorain County. I came here from Kentucky when I was 6 years old, and I know what it was like to be poor. And I would love to work on some of these issues to make Lorain County better, Elyria better, Lorain better, all of our cities a better place to live, because I'm very proud of where we live. So with that, we'll let everybody clean up their basements. I got,
Anyone else looking to address the board this morning? If not, I'll make a motion to go in executive session as outlined by the county administrator and county prosecutor.
Second.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
This has been a broadcast of the recent Lorain County Commissioners' General Meeting. Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Wednesday morning at 9:30 at the Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings, and you are invited to attend. Agendas are posted prior to the meeting at www.loraincounty.us. Click on Departments to see the Commissioners page, then click on View Agenda for a